I'm Leslie Stahl.
I'm Bob Simon.
I'm Zerman Zane, and this is 60 Minutes. You may not recognize the man that I'm about to introduce you to, but you will certainly recognize his work. In fact, if you are an American who lives in a suburb, this man, more than likely, named your subdivision. Some call him a recluse, others call him a genius, but one thing is certain. He is one of the most commercially successful artists to have ever walked the face of this planet. That being said, he is also a man usually surrounded by a cloud of controversy. Do you think you're an artist? I mean, a lot of people look at you and look at the work you do and they don't think you're an artist. They don't think it's an art form.
Oh yeah, I have heard this before. I have heard it so many times. And I say to those people, if what I do is so easy to do, then you do it. You do it. I dare you to do it. I dare you.
So what is it that you do? How do you describe your art form?
Like all art, my art brings beauty to the world. If it wasn't for me, every neighborhood in suburban America would be a carbon copy of the neighborhood next door. There would be no diversity. There would be no beauty. I bring that. Because of me, a family can come home to their neighborhood in some random suburb somewhere, and rather than it being anonymous, there's a sign out in front of their neighborhood. And let's say that on the sign it says something like, something fancy, like Windsor Heights or Berkshire Place, something good like that. And that makes that family feel as though they are superior and above the family that lives next door in some silly place, like Wilford Brimley Meadow or something like that. You see what I'm saying?
So didn't you just prove your critics right? Just then and there, you came up with two names just right off the top of your head. It's not that difficult, this art form.
When people enter a subdivision that I name, I want them to feel as though, in the olden days, the kings and queens would have lived in this subdivision. Not the peasants, not those people. We want the kings and queens. That's what we want. That's how we want people. If you think that is easy, what I do, then you do it. You do it. You see how easy it is. I dare you.
To get a better handle on this elusive artist, we spoke to a professor who has studied the artist for his entire career. A lot of people describe him as some sort of enigma, as if he emerged from some void in the universe, but he had to come from somewhere. I mean, where did this phenomenon begin? I think most art historians agree that his first really big splash was the Preserve project. First of all, you had the Preserve itself, then you had the Preserve condominiums, then Preserve Place, then Granite Place at the Preserve, and then, of course, the Preserve at Nottingham. Now, in retrospect, we refer to that as his Preserve period, and it ran from the mid-'80s to the early '90s. And as impressive a body of work as that was, we were all wondering, is this guy just a one-trick pony? Is everything preserved? Does he have anything else to offer? Then he transitioned into what art historians call the friends and family phase, and that ran from the early '90s until the mid-2000s. And why is it referred to as his friends and family phase? He was just naming subdivisions after people he knew. And this resulted in such classics as Mitchell Village East, of course, Mitchell Village West, Hartford Place, Hartford Commons, Weston Woods, all classics. But he didn't realize his true genius until he reached the point phase. It wasn't just the word point, it was point with an E added to the end of it. This results in subdivisions being named things like Breezy Point and Boulder Point and Sandy Point. His point phase is the most impactful thing that's ever happened to the art form. Point with an E is a nautical term, and what kind of genius associates a nautical term like that with an entirely landlocked subdivision in the Midwest? It's as if God was speaking to us through this artist. After that breakthrough, it's like subdivisions could be named anything. It didn't matter whether the name had anything to do with the geographical region, the topography. They could just be named anything. Do you consider him a genius? It's like all big breakthroughs in art. In retrospect, it seems so simple, but at the time, it takes a genius to take that step. Earlier in our interview, you said that you want the people who live in your neighborhoods to feel like they're kings and queens. Do you recall that?
Oh, yes, of course.
But doesn't it go further than that? I mean, some people say that your form of art is nothing more than veiled racism.
I have no idea of what you're talking about, and I never agreed to this topic. This was not on the list of agreed topics.
For example, why haven't you ever named a subdivision Mumbai Meadows or Ethiopian Estates or Amigo Acres?
Those are ridiculous names. No one would want to live in those neighborhoods.
Why? Why are all of those names so ridiculous?
Oh, you're being serious. I'm so sorry. I thought you were joking. I really thought it was a joke.
All of your subdivisions sound like some place you'd find in a Jane Austen novel. Why are those the only good names?
Well, now you're just not being fair. Lots of my names have been inspired by American themes. I mean, lots and lots of them.
Heritage Place, is that one of the American-inspired names that you're referring to?
Oh, yes. Now, that's a very solid American name.
Yeah, you might as well be saying the place for Southern Baptist conservative preachers.
There's Black Heritage. What are you talking about?
Oh, yeah, I'm sure you were thinking of Black Heritage when you named that subdivision.
Maybe.
And what about this one, Settlers Ridge? It might as well be named, we misappropriated your property and now we don't want you living near us anymore, Ridge. Right? Right? I mean, be honest.
Oh, that's not the intended implication of that name at all. I mean, next you're going to be condemning Laura Ingalls Wilder for crying out loud.
Okay, sir, you can dance your way around all of the other names, but how can you possibly justify the name White Oaks?
Trees have snow on them, don't they? I mean, this development is in Minnesota. It's about trees, you idiot, not people. You're making it about race.
So the name White Oaks is actually referring to trees that have snow on them. Really? You want me to believe that? Why can't you just admit that you've made some mistakes?
This interview has become absurd. You have taken it too far. It's over. It's over. It's over.
I can understand that at one point in time he was seen as a visionary, somebody that was truly, inspired. But lately it doesn't even seem like he's trying. I mean, his most recent project, he named it after a bus stop, for crying out loud. Oh, clearly he's still trying. An artist like this just doesn't stop producing art. The people who study this artist think that some of these cancel culture challenges that he's faced have caused him to enter the minimalist phase of his career. And that's what we're seeing now. He's still trying. In your opinion, then, he has entered the fourth phase of his career, this minimalist phase. Yes, now he's pursuing the idea that less is more, so to say. Now, critics have some fundamental concerns about the art of subdivision names. Can you explain those concerns, those fundamental concerns, a little bit further? Fundamentally, the issue that this art space faces is generally referred to as the everybody gets a trophy problem. People that study this art space wonder, are these hoity-toity subdivision names just the new participation trophy? Do they mean anything to people? Do people really feel like kings and queens when they drive into their subdivisions? Or do people just ignore these things? Do they even notice that these signs are there? I mean, that's the real question for this art space today. The whole point of this art form is to make me feel as though my subdivision is better than your subdivision. If these subdivision names, if these subdivision signs aren't achieving that purpose, then what does that say about the art? What does it say about America? What does it say about Americans, really?